What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here. In today's video, we are going to be running a backline of Virizion and Cobalion. Now, when they got access to Double Kick, Sacred Sword combination, it really took the Ultra League meta by storm a long while back. And I'm going to bring it back today, pairing it with an Alolan Muk lead with Poison Jab. This really helps out against those Fairy-type Pokemon. Does well against Trevenant. It has the Dark Pulse for a lot of the ghosts like Jellicent and Giratina Altered. It's very, very good. Now, you also might be wondering, where is my Poliwrath video? Well, yesterday I wasn't able to get out for Community Day, but I also have, it was family things for any of you going, well, why didn't you get out for Community? It's family things, right? Family first. But I do have Poliwrath already good IVs for both Ultra League and Great League, so I'm waiting to Elite TM the fast move counter onto them. Currently, I can't do that, and I don't know when we're going to be able to, but it should be soon. So once I am able to do that, I will then create teams and battle videos around Poliwrath in the Ultra League and Great League. So probably be on the lookout for those when we have all leagues available coming up. Excuse me, coming up pretty soon. All right, getting into the first battle here, we have Muk on the lead versus Aurorus, another Pokemon that you guys should probably be getting. I've gotten mine. I'm going to go ahead and safe swap into Cobalion now. We do draw out a Trevenant. Now, the reason why Cobalion is a beautiful safe swap for this team is it has access to Stone Edge, which allows it to hit neutral damage across a lot of the meta that we see to basically soften them up for Alolan Muk to come back in and farm down. Shadow Ball as well is not enough to KO there, and they're going to have to throw a charge move, otherwise I get to another Stone Edge, which they do decide to throw, so I'm actually going to go ahead and let this go right here. I could have shielded, gotten the Stone Edge, got the 1-to-1 shields, but ultimately I think having a lot of energy here and trying to get a shield on the back end from Aurorus might be a good play. Now, I don't know what their third Pokemon is, but it's got to be something that can counter water and fighting type Pokemon, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's another grass, so if it's a Virizion Mirror. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Dark Pulse right away here for neutral damage, and now I'm going to swap into Virizion, and they are not swapping out. This is a tell that they might be weak in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and shield, as the Weather Ball would be doing super effective damage, and now they do decide to swap out, and it's going to be a Chestnut in the back, so it is another grass type Pokemon, and we are very far ahead on energy because of the fast move Double Kick and the neutral damage here with Sacred Sword. Now, the outcome of this battle is going to be very close because Chestnut has access to superpower, so it's all going to be about calling the bait, right? Calling that they actually go for the higher energy move of Frenzy Plant, which they do right there. So that's a beautiful call. Now notice my switch clock is coming back up. So now I'm going to put the opponent in a very tough position. I'm going to go ahead and swap out back into Alolan Muk and then go for the Acid Spray right here to debuff the Chestnut. In hindsight, probably could have stored up energy and gone for a Dark Pulse versus Aurorus, but the Aurorus now is forced to throw. And this is going to be the tough call. I'm going to go ahead and shield the Weather Ball right there because I'm going to get this Dark Pulse off in time. And now we're in a very unique position where Chestnut has to throw a charge move versus the Muk. Otherwise, I'm going to be farming down. And they decide to go for superpower here, which is not enough to KO, or it is enough to KO, but now it's debuffed the opponent to the point where this next superpower here is not enough to KO the Virizion, so I am able to survive and get the Sacred Sword off in time. So that's going to be a good game, very well played. I absolutely, when it comes to the Ultra League, looking at the legendary Pokemon that you guys could potentially invest in, these two right here, Virizion and Cobalion, I think are incredibly strong, and they have proven to me over seasons that they are worth the investment. Now we got a Jellicent here on the lead, and they will swap into Ampharos, so we're just going to go ahead and come in with Virizion. Now I am potentially scared of a Dragon Pulse. That is a move that could be used by Ampharos, and they are going to be building up a lot of energy, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Leaf Blade. And now I'm going to go for the farm down and I will give up a shield here. I am concerned about the Outrage, but it's just going to be a Thunder Punch. So now I'm like, okay, they're just going to Thunder Punch spam. This is probably Brutal Swing, Thunder Punch, Ampharos, and it's better to go for the Stab, same type attack bonus, which is going to be the Electric type move, rather than go for Brutal Swing, as they're both resisted, right? Fighting in Grass. So now we're in a very cool position where we can farm down with our fast move of Double Kick, and it doesn't matter how much damage we take here from Volt Switch and Thunder Punch, because we want to have all of that energy on the back end, and then just spam those charge moves, because it's going to be the Jellicent most likely. But they do decide to come in with a Grass Fighting. So this is either Chestnut or Virizion, and it is going to be Virizion. So we have a lot of energy now stored up. We can go for multiple Double Kicks right here, or Sacred Swords, I should say. And then we're going to go ahead and look to swap now back into Muk to try to force their hand. I banked a charge move on Virizion as well to help clean up in the end game as they go for Sacred Swords here. But now it draws back out the Jellicent, and we are ahead on energy in this matchup while also resisting the fast move of Hex. And they obviously can't go for Shadow Ball either, so they have to go for Surfs. So we get one shield right there, which is totally fine. We're going to go ahead and let the Surf go through. It's not going to be enough to KO us. They're going to have to throw another one. And I do get to another Dark Pulse in time, thankfully, because I was able to swap back into Virizion and start getting ahead on energy for this matchup. So the Dark Pulse does land. Remember, we still have a Leaf Blade loaded on Virizion, so we're going to store that, bank it for later, and utilize it as best we can. So we're going to go ahead and come in and go straight for the Leaf Blade now to force that final shield from the opponent. And they decide to shield, so now we're going to swap into Cobalion, saving our Virizion for a potential sack swap later on. Hardest hitting move left in the game is going to be Sacred Sword, so I'm going to go ahead and let it go through, and that is going to be a Surf. And now we see the Virizion coming in, and this is where Cobalion, even though we have the typing mismatch, right, where we're weak to fighting type moves because of our steel typing, we can still win this battle, as I will be giving up a shield on Sacred Sword. And that is going to be a good game, as I should be able to get to Stone Edge here in time before they can get to a Shadow Ball. And even then, Shadow Ball I don't think is just enough to KO. It would have left me very, very low though. But good game, very well played right there. Alright, moving into the next one. We have Muk on the lead versus Tapu Fini. So very positive matchup here for us. And my opponent is not swapping out. This is a tell to me that they are core broken, right? What my opponent does and does not do. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Acid Spray. Now, I really like Acid Spray on Muk for the setups on this team, as you guys will see throughout this video. But the Acid Spray now debuffs. We're going to go ahead and shield the Moonblast because I'm reading that they are core broken. They bring in a Charizard. And notice that this is a Dragon Breath Charizard. This is going to be very crucial for us to understand, as I can now come in with Cobalion. Now you might be wondering, well, why would I do that? Obviously the steel typing here. You know, the best answer I have left is to utilize my Cobalion. I do shield the Blast Burn. It's the steel type, so we resist Dragon Breath, and because we debuffed with Acid Spray, Sacred Swords now can do quite a bit of damage, and we also have the threat of Stone Edge, which obviously one-shots a Charizard. So we're going to go ahead and go for multiple Sacred Swords right here. They decide to let it go through, so I could have landed the Stone Edge right there, unfortunately. But now I'm going to be losing this mid-game matchup because this is going to be a Blast Burn. Boom! Which is okay, right? It's got to be okay in order to win, right? So now we need to come in with Muk, get ahead on energy. Remember, I thought they were core broken, but they have a Gliscor in the back. And I'm like, my goodness, I have to swap and catch the charge move. So I do swap into Virizion. They bring in a Tapu Fini, which, mind you, already went for the Moonblast. So they're well behind on energy. Gliscor's moveset is Night Slash and Earthquake. Both Virizion resists both of those charge moves. So this is now a very unique situation where we can potentially win this game. Even though Gliscor is doing a lot of damage with Wing Attack to our grass fighting typing here on Virizion, this actually isn't as bad as you might think. All we have to pray for is that they don't get the boost, right? That is what we have to pray for right now. That is, they will be able to get 3 Night Slashes off because they have so much energy. But again, our fighting typing here is playing very strong for us, the grass and fighting typing. because of the Earthquake as well, right? If Earthquake was neutral damage, they could easily go for that and it'd be over. But now we can go for Leaf Blades right here. I am going to swap back into my Muk and go for Dark Pulse. And now because the Gliscor has thrown all of its energy, it's not going to be able to get to an Earthquake in time, which means it has to throw a Night Slash in order to potentially win this game. But we are part Dark typing, which means we resist it and allows us to survive and get to the Dark Pulse in time, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So that got very dicey very quickly, but ultimately defensively for us, the grass fighting typing there on Virizion was extremely clutch. Good game. All right, we got Alolan Ninetales here on the lead. You love to see Charmers on the lead, and they swap into Jellicent, so we're going to go ahead and bring in the Virizion. This is still a good matchup for us because of the damage output that we can do with Leaf Blade, even though our fast move is resisted. Shadow Ball doesn't do that much. You guys are going to see this is extremely spammy. This is like Shift Tree levels for my OG Go Battle League players back in Season 1, 2, and 3, back when Shift Tree was a part of the meta. This is that spam that you just absolutely love, and the coverage that it has as well is awesome. So we do get a shield right there, and now we're in a position where I can shield. This is going to be, unfortunately, a Surf, so that was heavily resisted, and now I will go for a Leaf Blade to try to take out the Jellicent, and if they shield, this is what the tell is. All right, what did they have on the lead? Let's think about this. This is what I'm thinking right now when I'm battling. Alolan Ninetales, Jellicent, two anti-fighters. They have to have something weak in the back to a Cobalion, right? The team, that would make sense, right? It would make sense to have a Registeel. It would make sense to have something weak to fighting type moves if you have a Ninetales and a Jellicent. There's just no way around it. So we're going to quickly find out what Pokemon that is. And this is another beautiful thing. Cobalion with Steel typing, it's going to be Obstagoon. Steel typing takes neutral damage now from Charm, and we have Stone Edge for Alolan Ninetales. This is why I was okay with losing that mid-game matchup. Yes, we could have easily won that mid-game matchup and had Muk to Ninetales, Cobalion to Obstagoon. But I felt like if there was like a Registeel back there, I feel like I would need shield advantage. As you guys see, we fully farmed down, and now we can go for Sacred Swords here against the Obstagoon. So I was reading that it might be like a Galarian Stunfisk or a Registeel, which in that case, we need the shield for the Earthquake or the Focus Blast, which is why I decided to make the decisions that I did. Boom, boom, double boom, right back to back. And that is going to be a good game, very well played. Is that the final one? No, not even close. What is that, the final one? We're only halfway through. All right, we got Giratina altered here on the lead, so very positive lead for us. This is Shadow Claw variant as well, so it's going to be very spammy. And Muk can pretty much handle this matchup with the Dark Pulse. Yes, we do have Poison Jab, which doesn't help out because Ghost typing is going to be resisting that. But Dark Pulse is putting pressure down early. We've already gotten a shield in the first like 20 seconds of this match, which is huge for the Ultra League. That is incredible. So now what we need to do is read that, you know what, my opponent is trying to stay in and they're constantly spamming Dragon Claws. So maybe they are core broken in the back in some way. Because of that, I'm going to look to go into Cobalion here to try to catch a Dragon Claw if I can, especially since they let that go. So I'm going to go ahead and swap, and they are loading up on energy and now throwing. So this still could be, it could be Ancient Power Dragon Claw, which looks to be the case since they are going for Dragon Claws right there, and we draw out a Swampert. So now we have to really start to think what could be in the back that they are so desperate to keep Giratina altered in, because Swampert's a good answer to Alolan Muk, right? And this was a bit quick for Earthquake, or definitely quick. It's only going to be Hydro Cannon, which you can survive. Now, I think there is a win con here for me by saving shields and coming in with Virizion and loading up on energy. Much like we saw against Gliscor, the typing here of Grass and Fighting helps out against Swampert as well. We're going to be resisting Hydro Cannon and we're going to be resisting Earthquake. Now, the really painful point is if this is a Sludge Wave, which most don't have. And thankfully it was just Hydro Cannons. This is totally fine. I am going to be able to farm down. Now, Giratina altered is very low, right? So we're going to go ahead and go for Leaf Blade. This is going to be resisted. but Giratina Altered was very, very low. So this is going to be handled perfectly fine. We KO, and the final Pokemon is a Sylveon. So that is why they stayed in on the lead with Giratina Alters, because they had a Charmer in the back. So what I have to do now is bank a Leaf Blade, go for Acid Spray here, which is why this is part of those times where I said it's going to come in clutch later on. The Acid Spray now debuffs the Sylveon, making it now weak enough to take more damage here from Leaf Blade, and that is going to be a good boom game. Very well played. So once again, team reading right there. What are they not doing? They really want to stay in with Giratina Altered. They've got to be weak in the back, and it played that to a T. All right, we got Shadow Skuntank now on the lead. This is going to be a tough one because Skuntank can win this matchup because it has access to Flamethrower. We are both Poison Dark typings here. So what I'm going to do is soften it up with an Acid Spray. We're probably not getting any shields, and we're going to let the Flamethrower hit us, and now we're going to go into Cobalion to get ahead on energy. Because they have used the Flamethrower, and they do come in with a Shadow Blastoise. Okay, so this is anyone's guess what could be in the back, but I'm going to go ahead and start going for Sacred Swords right now to try to do as much damage as possible, and they decide to shield. So now this is a tough situation where I feel like I could give up a shield here to stop the Hydro Cannon, because Hydro Cannon, they would just be able to Water Gun down from that point. And now I should honestly be looking to go for Stone Edges, but instead I go for Sacred Sword. The reason why I should be looking to go for Stone Edges, they are most likely trying to survive and get off the Hydro, or trying to predict that I only go for Sacred Swords. But we got the shield anyways, and now this is the risky call. Do I give up 2 shields in this situation? I'm going to go ahead and do it. And we see that they swap back into Skuntank. Now this Skuntank is going to be getting to a Flamethrower relatively soon. So I'm going to go ahead and let that go. I could have tried to catch it, right? But I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to come in now with Virizion and farm down to get a lot of energy. Blastoise is extremely low. And the final Pokemon is going to be a Shadow Walrein. So this is now a very interesting setup here. Remember, there is still a Blastoise in the back. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for Sacred Swords. They decide not to shield. Now here comes the Weather Ball, and this is why this is so dangerous. This Shadow Walrein hits like a truck. I bank the charge move there, come in with the Muk, and they swap into Blastoise, catching the charge move. That is a beautiful swap by my opponent, and I should have anticipated that, because now I can't get the shield here from Walrein. I saved the charge move there on Virizion so that I could Sacred Sword it after trying to get, you know what I mean? It was a beautiful catch by my opponent. That's what happens, right? I make good catches sometimes, my opponents make good catches, and this is what makes Go Battle League so much fun. Alright, we got a Shadow Charizard here on the lead. So now, a lot of the times when you are running a Poison Jab Muk, it pairs very well with Acid Spray, right? So I'm going to go ahead and shield the Blast Burn. And a lot of times, opponents will sleep on the fact that you're probably just going to go for Acid Spray. So I go for Dark Pulse in this situation, and boom, we just take out the Charizard, like right away. They bring in a Scrafty instantly, so we already have 2 good answers in the back. Virizion is obviously our better answer, so we're going to go ahead and come in with that, saving. I mean, the Cobalion can still do well because we have Sacred Sword. It's a much better charge move than Power Up Punch, but they come in with Trevenant now, so now we can just go straight for Leaf Blades. This is still a tough situation because the Leaf Blades only do resisted damage, but the Trevenant has to throw energy in order to take us out, and 1 Shadow Ball is not enough. And even on the back end here, we can come in with the Muk and resist those charge moves anyways. So we're looking very, very good. We still have a shield ourselves, so we're going to go ahead and look to shield the Shadow Ball, and now force them to really throw their energy. And now my switch clock is coming back up, so I've delayed this long enough where I can save my Virizion, counter swap back into Muk, and now soak this energy. Literally, look at Muk. He can soak a lot. Shadow Ball, not going to do that much damage. They come back in with Scrafty, which is totally fine. Remember, we still have Cobalion in the back as well. We go for an Acid Spray here to weaken the Scrafty, so it takes more damage from double kicks. And now we can come back in with Virizion here and look to go for fast moves. Thankfully, we resist foul play, so this is likely it is going to be foul play, but we resist it because of our typing. And now double kick, as you guys can see, is putting in absolute work, and it forces them to throw energy. In order to win this game, I only need to fast move down the, I save energy as well there. Come in with Cobalion. Now Trevenant in the back is going to go down. I go for the Sacred Sword because my win con here really... I mean, I think I just fast move down, in all honesty. They're not going to be able to get to enough in time, but they just no-shield anyways. They know it's over. But I had a charge move on Virizion, get to 2 charge moves with Cobalion, and by that time, double kick down anyways, so that's going to be a good game. All right, final battle is going to be Pidgeot here on the lead. So there's a lot of things that could be in the back, but in this matchup, we're going to go ahead and just pray that they don't go for Brave Bird. We're just going to call it, and it is going to be Feather Dance. So now we're going to go ahead and go for Acid Spray. It's kind of like the counter to Feather Dance, right? Feather Dance lowers my attack, but Acid Spray lowers their defense. So it basically evens things out. So now because they're going for another charge move, once again, letting this go. If it's Brave Bird, so be it. But it is just going to be Feather Dance. I'm going to go ahead and go for Dark Pulse now to get the Pidgeot as low as possible. And then I'm going to look to potentially go into Cobalion, but I thought, you know what? I think it's better to stay in here. Reason why? This could be the only counter to my fighting type Pokemon in the back. So I let them go, but now I decide to swap out into Cobalion because now my Muk is low enough where, the Pidgeot was low enough where I could fast move it down with double kick, and then I could save the Muk for a sacrificial swap later on. It's something you guys always want to be looking to do. Now they bring in a shiny Virizion, which is obviously a tough matchup for us. So what we can do here is soften this up. Now I'm not going to be surprised if they actually have a Cobalion in the back themselves. This is a very strong duo backline. The Cobalion safe swap, the Virizion anchor. It is very strong. So what we're going to do now is I decided to shield there so that I could get to 2 more Sacred Swords to kind of even this game up in terms of shields. And I'm predicting that there might just be a Cobalion in the back. So what I need to do now is use Virizion to catch, or use Muk to catch a charge move from my opponent's Virizion, which is beautiful. This is why I saved it. So that is a lot of energy caught. Now I can come in with my own Virizion and double kick down. And this is where the hard read comes in, that they have a Cobalion in the back, and sure enough, they did. So very interesting to see somewhat of a mirror fight right here, right? Muk and Pidgeot, but then we both have the double backlines, and ultimately, I think this game came down to saving my own Muk, getting rid of their Pidgeot, and then catching the charge move on my Muk to give some usefulness to that. Voice just cracked. Give some usefulness to that. So this is going to be a good game as we can easily survive this Sacred Sword. And we can go ahead and go for one ourselves. This is going to be enough to KO the Cobalion. And then their Virizion doesn't have energy, and they are low enough to fast move down. And that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Very fun to face off against a fellow Virizion Cobalion backline right there. So good game to my opponent. But again, it's all about those little advantages that you guys can get. In this case, it was saving Muk for a sacrificial swap. So good games right there. This team, a lot of fun if you guys can build it. And it is worth, I think, the investment, especially in rare candy. I used rare candy to do these because I just didn't have enough from doing raids. And rare candy you kind of come by a lot as you are playing the game, whether it's Go Battle League or you're doing raids, etc. You always have a little bit of excess, so it was worth for me to do that. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.